What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Tim, back with another video, back out in nature. Just wanted to turn the camera on, do another walk and talk. I love doing them. And so today I wanted to talk about taking a break, okay? Some people call it a sabbatical, an adult gap year, taking time off work, whatever you want to call it. I wanted to talk about the ideal of every so often, every few years, you just take some time off. You check out from the grind. Maybe you take 2 months, 6 months, a year, whatever you can do, and you just take some time for yourself. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, sounds great. I just can't do that. Okay. I just can't take 6 months off of work, and I understand that. But I also understand that there are a lot of people who can't do it right now because they never really thought about doing it, who, if they thought about it years ago, would be able to do it. Okay. So I'm on a mission to try to normalize the sabbatical, normalize the adult gap year, so that a lot of people just getting into the workforce now, that will be something that they're, I want it to be normal. I want it to be something that they go into it being like, okay, let me get a good job, blah, blah, blah. But I know in 5 years, I want to take 6 months off. You know what I mean? Because I just know it is possible to do, whether you design something with your company so that you can leave and come back, or you start some type of side hustle so you have some income for that 6 months or that year, or you just save up a ton of money so you can pay your bills. It is possible to do, but until we normalize it and talk about it, a lot of people are just never going to do it. So I want to talk about it. And in today's video, I want to talk about what I think are some of the benefits. Okay. I was able to, in 2022, not work most of the year. Had a couple jobs here and there, but mainly I just survived off of my online income, the bulk of which is YouTube. So first off, thank y'all to my followers, supporters, YouTube friends and family. Would not have been able to do it without y'all. So thank y'all. That is love. That's love. Thank y'all. And, one of the biggest things I learned, taking so much time off and it just being me being able to pretty much do what I want, being in control of my time, which is amazing. But that wasn't the biggest thing. Being able to wake up whenever you want, not set an alarm clock, gotta do what you want is awesome. But the biggest thing I learned was that my worldview and just how I looked at life and certain thoughts I had changed. You know what I mean? There were certain thoughts I had that I never could have had before when I was working all the time. And I realized, because I started thinking, I'm why am I having these such different thoughts now? And a part of it was I wasn't at work as much. Okay. But I realized our thoughts from a very young age are focused on work. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. This is not a video demonizing work. But, all through school, it's not like they're oh, we send you to school to learn. It's oh, we send you to school to learn so you can get a good job. So you go through elementary school, middle school, high school. The whole time, in the back of your mind, I got to do this so I can get good grades, so I can get into a good school, so I can get a good job. Excuse me. Then when you get into the workforce, obviously, always thinking about work while you're working, even when you're not at work. The decisions you make are based on the fact that you got to go back to work tomorrow or in a couple days. A lot of times people bring their work home with them. So our life is always centered around work. Therefore, our thoughts are always centered around working, making money, all that type stuff. When you take some time off and you have a good 2 months, 6 months, a year, whatever, between the time you stop working and the time you have to go back, all that kind of gets pushed back to the back of your mind. All that work, worldview and noise and talk, it gets really quiet because you don't have to think about it. If I don't have to go to work for 6 months, if I don't have to go to work for 2 months, a year, whatever it is, I don't have to think about it. It's not like on the weekend where you got to be back to work Monday, so you're still kind of thinking about work, even on Saturday, because in a couple days you're back there. No. When you got some months before you have to go back to work and you're good and you don't have money problems and things like that, you don't think about all that. And what happens then is that like other thoughts start to like come forward. Okay? That's when you really start to think about like, who am I and what do I want to do with this life? Because previously it's all about how am I going to pay these bills? How am I going to make some money? How am I going to stay employed? Like that's just what we've been taught. That's what we think about the most. But when that's kind of on the back burner for a while, then it's like, well, what now? You know what I mean? And you start to think about things like, well, and for a lot of us, our identity is tied up in the job. So it's like, okay, I'm not really thinking about work. That's not my identity right now. Who am I? And then it's like, well, I don't have to design my life around clocking in and out, every day, 6 days a week or whatever. Well, what do I want to do? And those are like, let me get off the road here before I get hit. And those seem like we would think about those concepts all the time. But I promise you, taking a break, not working for a while, really kind of puts those in the forefront of your mind. And the crazy thing is, a lot of times we don't have an answer. That's the truly crazy thing. In the beginning, you may not have an answer. We think we do. If you ask any person now, most people say, who are you? What do you want to do with this life? But people, fire something off. But when you have, weeks and months to ponder this and think on this, and it's like one of the main things you think about, those quick answers you fire off, you'll find out probably aren't true. Okay? When you got the time to like act upon those quick answers, and you realize you're not acting upon it, then you realize like a lot of that, you're like, wait a second, is that really me? Is that what I really want to do with this life? And for me, that's what I found was like one of like the biggest benefit was just so much time to like figure me out and like work on me. And that was the main goal. That me was the goal. And I know that sounds selfish, and it is. It is. There's nothing wrong with being selfish. Being like overly selfish to like the detriment of yourself and people around you, that's a problem. But it's okay to be selfish and just like really work on yourself, grow, do things you never got a chance to do, and just like design your life. And like I said, we think a lot of times we're already doing this, but until you do it, and please, if you've experienced this, please put it in the comment box below, so people won't think it's just me. But there's something about when you just got time, you know what I mean? And like you could just like reflect, and there's not always that, you got something to do, you gotta be doing this, you gotta be doing it, you gotta be going to work, you gotta be and all that. Nah, when you just take some time for yourself, you learn about yourself. And here's the thing, you might be like super ready to go back to work at the end of your break, the end of your sabbatical. Even before, you might be like, man, I'm ready to go back, because there's nothing wrong with work. I think as humans, we need fulfilling work for it to be a complete life, So I'm not demonizing work at all. I got to keep saying that. Someone will still comment and say that I am. But not demonizing work. You might be ready to go back to work. But the good thing is, I think, that's another benefit. When you do go back to work, I think you kind of appreciate what work gives you. You know what I mean? But now you also appreciate what not working gives you. And so there's that balance. And life is all about balance. And I just think most of us don't get the proper balance because since we were like 5 and they put us in pre-K, we've just been on this pathway with work and career. And we think, we see the world that way. And it takes taking some time off as an adult, I think, to get that right balance. And I know for a lot of people, they take a gap year, they take a sabbatical, and then they can't go back to just, okay, I'm gonna go back to work and work until I retire. A lot of people are like, nah, I gotta keep doing this pretty regular because I realize this is something I need in my life. Like, this is for my growth, this is for my development. This over here, work, I do this to pay the bills. I do this, because I like being around people. I like my coworkers, whatever. But this over here, this me time, I do because I need it to grow in the manner I want to grow. I need it to keep my life in certain directions that I think are important. But like, you can't appreciate or understand any of this until you do it. And so that's my message to anybody out there who's been thinking about taking some time off. You've been looking at your savings and you're like, you know what? I think I could, like how anybody out there who when work gets tough fantasizes about it. It's like, man, I could just walk out this door and I ain't got to work for 3 months and I'd be fine. Anybody who said in their mind before work, y'all gonna keep pushing me and I'm gonna leave this place, and you wasn't worried about it because either you got a little side hustle going on, you got a little money stash, you got some investment, whatever. If you know you could probably do it, please think deeply about doing it, because it is a game changer. It's a life changer, and I know you'll truly appreciate it. And even if you're like, I don't want to do that ever again, you will have done it. You will have tried it. You will have got it out your system. But I definitely think it is something that all of us could benefit from. Just that changing of our thoughts and that changing of what we think is most important in life, putting ourselves most important and having that total freedom to do what we want with our time. That's amazing. That is just amazing. I just think the benefits are so worth, I think a lot of times even people who have the means to do it, we have this fear that like, oh, but that'd be 2 months without me making any money. You'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like, if you could pay the bills and take some time off and be okay financially, you'll be okay. You know what I mean? But we have this extreme fear, even when we don't need to make money, we have this extreme fear of like not making money for 6 months, even though we don't really need it. But what if I need that money later? I mean, time and unforeseen occurrence befalls us all. You know what I mean? But we can't live our life in fear of what if. You know what I mean? I'm like, if you're gonna think about a what if, think about like, hey, what if this is the last opportunity I have to maybe do this? Okay? What if something happens next year and then I have to work the rest of my life? Just not able to take any time off ever again. I got 40 more years of working after this. That's the what if I would focus on. If you want to focus on what ifs, if we've been blessed with the financial abundance to take a little time off, take some time for yourself, like, don't feel guilty. Like we feel like, we're cheating or something. Like, man, I just don't. I was like this when I first stopped like working, was just living on my side incomes or whatever. I feel guilty sometimes. I'd be walking downtown, and everybody was coming and going to work. It's like, 10 in the morning and I'm just walking down to the library, whatever, and I would kind of feel guilty. I'm like, dang, why am I not out there working too? I'm an able-bodied man. Like, Tim, calm down. You don't have to feel guilty about not working. It's okay. This is your blessing. This is your abundance. The universe is abundant, and I firmly believe God bestows blessings on all of us. If your blessing at the current moment is to be able to take some time off, take it. Take it. You know how many other people would jump at that opportunity? So like, if that's your particular blessing, if that's the particular abundance you have, please take full advantage of it. And I'm a big believer that like blessings come into our life because we need it. We can use it. So maybe you've been blessed with the ability to take a little time off because you really need to do that. Whereas there might be other people who don't need it as much, and maybe they haven't got the, cash in the bank like you do. I don't know. I'm an amateur on how a lot of this stuff works. I just know that like when life gives you a opportunity, and it's a good one, not something crazy or illegal, but it's a good one and it's something you've been thinking about for a while, I think it makes sense to take it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, these cars have started coming a lot quicker and a lot faster. I'm gonna hop off. Please, in the comment box below, if we can get a dialogue going, have you done it? Are you thinking about doing it? Do you have any questions, concerns, comments? There's no dumb comments. I take that back. There are... They're trolls and there's haters. If you're just like a real person, there's no dumb comments. But if you come with the trolling and the hate, I'll just block it. Not a big deal. But let's have a conversation about this. There's something in the future I really want to talk about more. Because yeah, I just know there are so many benefits. I love each and every one of y'all. Talk to y'all later.